Definitely. No, 100%. I mean, everybody's a product of their environment and whatever's happening within, right? There's always an interaction between the environment and the person. It's all like one thing, but it's the mind and our intellect that differentiates, divides, puts, you know, labels and borders on these things, right? But really, it's all one. And so, as far as the individual goes, the individual has their daily activities, right? So basic activities like eating, sleeping, going to work, whatever, right? And so for, you know, us B-boys and B-girls, breakers, that's one of the activities that we do. So really it's no different than eating, sleeping, and working. It's just one of these things that we do. So that's part of the whole continuum of life, which is connected to the environment. So absolutely one's environment has effect on the style and mentality. How? I mean, that's different to every individual. If I want to talk about myself in that regard, in this topic, yeah, I mean, I can only talk about my own history, right? Because environment is space, and then time is flowing from one point to another continuously. So those two things are inseparable. Yeah, one of those words. And so yeah, as we progress as people, our style is going to change. And then there's like the whole macrocosm, microcosm thing, right? So if you look at one set, the one set has its different stages, right? You got your top rock, your go down, your footwork, your power and freeze, right? I mean, some people sometimes will mix it up, but there's like different phases to it, right? It's like a story. So every set is a story that's part of a life, which in itself is a story. So it's like a story within a story. So, I mean, without thinking about it, naturally, that expression is going to be a microcosm of the greater macrocosm. So there's different catalysts in life, right? So I find pain and suffering to be a very powerful catalyst. I grew up with a lot of suffering. I got bullied at school. My dad treated me like shit at home. So when I'm at school, I feel like shit. When I came home, I feel like shit. So I had a lot of suffering. And the only time I found peace was when I was by myself. Both of my parents were at work. And so that's how I became a loner and adapted to that. And so when I throw down, that character is there. And it's not even about the moves, man. Like everybody's doing the same steps, same moves. Like you look at almost any breaker, you'll see, okay, he's doing a 6-step. Okay, she's doing headstand. Okay, he's doing air flares. You know, she's doing coffee grinders, right? Like you could, right? You know what the moves are. All the moves are the same, but who's doing the moves? Where is that move coming from? Mm-hmm. Right? So even the same steps, even the same set, you can do it at 2 points in time, it's going to be totally different. And if it's not, well, then you got to loosen up. You got to go smoke a joint or something. Go trip out on shrooms. Go think about life. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So anytime, hey,
but kind of not, right?
Yeah, sort of joking, sort of not. I mean, everything's serious, but it's not at the same time. Okay, I'll get into that later. But man, so many ideas just flowing in at once, man. Okay. Yeah. So the move. Okay, you know that saying, it's about the groove, not the move. Mm-hmm. So that groove is going to be a product of your experience from before and your experience right now. Mm-hmm. And then there's a contrast there, right? It's like where are you coming from? Where are you at now? Where are you going? But that where are you going when you throw down is what manifests. And that's a result of where you coming from. Where are you right now?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say very similar mentalities about all this stuff. Yeah. It's a very like Buddhist way of looking at things, I think. Yeah. And I think, there's a lot of people out there that want to, especially like younger people, and they're getting into the dance, and like it makes sense that at the beginning people are really like kind of regimented and this kind of thing, but as people get more and more into it, like this kind of thinking, I think, becomes more and more important, of like learning about this whole aspect of things. And like it's not just it's not just well, it's the typical, stereotypical sayings that we have. The move, it's not the move, it's the groove. And like everyone says those things, but when you actually start trying to like break it down and really think about it and really understand it, it's like this really complex, deep thing that takes a lot of like inner reflection, and you figure out a lot about yourself too, I think.
Absolutely.
And like when you throw down in these circles and stuff, it's kind of funny. Like they have the other expression of like dance to express, not impress. But like
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
but you can't even do that without really figuring out like who you are, or what you want to say, what are you doing, like that kind of thing. And so yeah, like people who really get that, when these are kind of like the quote unquote masters, I guess, or whatever. But when you see them throw down, like sometimes they don't even do anything crazy. Like a just average person would see that and be like, I don't get it, what did they do? They didn't do anything, because they're just
Yeah,
like looking at visually what's going on. But like you have more experience, and you kind of know, like you can just see like their connection, and their they're like, that's them coming out on the floor, and you can see the little details of personality. And like you said, people can do the same move because of their experiences, they'll manifest it in a different way or whatever, because of their history, or that particular environment that they're in right now, with the people that are around them, with the song, the particular song that's playing at that moment, in the particular lighting, in the particular venue. And you can do the same set in a different environment, a different place, different time, whatever, and it'll come out different, or it can come out different, or it will, because there'll be some minor little thing that'll make it different. Yeah. But anyway.
yeah, that's really interesting what you said, man. Like an average person will see somebody could see somebody like Ken Swift, who's a legend, he's a master, and he does something that seems simple, but then to those who know, to those who understand the art, they'll see things that the average person won't see. And it's not even seeing, it's like the energy, like you feel the energy
Yeah, well, it's like
and
little
you get like,
details and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but he's a good example, because when I was starting out, like one of the first videos that I saw was this like random Korea Cup whatever thing, and like they had this USA All-Star team, and it was like Ken Swift, Flowmaster, Wicket, Crumbs, and Zulu Gremlin. So this crazy, crazy crew. And like when I was starting out, I was like, oh, I was really into like these Korean dudes or the Japanese dudes, and they're doing like, I don't know, they'll do air flares or something like that. But Bag of Tricks was there too. But I was only noticing like, okay, that's visually impressive. That's really cool. And like Crumbs was like the man in that thing. But I remember seeing Ken Swift. I didn't know who he was. I was like, oh, this guy's like some older kind of like, what do you call him? Like stocky, is that the right word? He was like a little like thicker than your average kind of dancer. But I remember seeing him and I was like, this guy sucks. Who is he? Oh, this guy's good. I've seen Crumbs before. I saw him in like Red Bull or something like that. He's the man. He's the best. And years later, I figured out like, oh, that's Ken Swift. And I kept hearing about people like, who are your inspirations? Everyone's like Ken Swift, Ken Swift, Ken Swift, Ken Swift. And maybe that video is not like the best representation of him in his like prime, but when I saw some of the other stuff and just learned more about the dance, like there's just so much stuff that he was doing that the average person probably couldn't appreciate. But now that I've been doing it longer and have more experience and just appreciation for little details and stuff, he's like the man. He's one of my favorite people to watch. I guess like this is just a random thing. It's like the first time you taste beer and you're like, this is disgusting. I don't know, for me. It's like this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, how could people or like wine. Wine too was like
Or
that.
coffee. Coffee's like
Yeah,
that too.
coffee, yeah, all of these things. And you're like you try it and you're like, this is gross. It's bitter and it's like I don't know, it doesn't taste like regular things. And
Yeah.
then
And then after that second sip, you're like, oh shit, this is my jam, dude.
yeah, well like, just later on you aside like whatever impairment effects aside, like there's times where, I don't drink beer often, but sometimes I'll have one and like I enjoy the taste and I'm not an expert, but I can like discern between like, oh, this I like this beer, I don't like this beer, and this beer is good and this beer is not good or whatever. Oh, this has like a bit of a fruity taste and this has a whatever taste. And like when I was younger, I thought that like it's all bitter or like all coffee is the same and it all just tastes like burnt whatever. And like wine is just whatever kind of sour, uh, bitter grape juice.
Tasteless grape juice. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just bitter alcoholic grape juice. But now you try this stuff and you're just like, I don't know, you've refined your senses a bit. Like you can pick out the little details.
Yeah, the details, and it's like dimensions. There's levels to this shit.
Hmm.
And it's like there's the surface level, right? So
Yeah.
if I apply this to breaking, like there's a surface level to the move. You
Hmm.
see somebody do a move and you're like, oh, that's a six step. Oh, that's a windmill.
Hmm.
There's like certain characteristics of a move that make a move what it is. But if you go past the form and you start to notice how it's being done, man, I don't know. It's really hard to explain it
Well,
in words. It's
it's
like
like
it's like colors, right? It's like
yeah.
if you look at a painting, right, and you see different shades of blue, and then those shades are making the waves, and then the way the light's hitting the paint, like
Yeah.
these different details.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when you move, there's like the speed. There's a start and the middle and the beginning of the move, and then there's like the
Hmm.
different transitions of how to get into levels and
Yeah.
moves. Like
What's
those, the whole flow of it. Like if you see, it's not even about the move, man, because the move is only part of the set. It's about the whole set. It's about the whole delivery, and this goes back. That whole set is actually part of that person's life.
hmm
It's like a seamless part of that person's life.
yeah.
Now really vibe.